development model involving 5 stakeholders, which include academic, business, communities, government, and media. Through collaboration and partnership, M.Si encourage the creation of new knowledge, innovation, and economic growth in Ruhyana. Next, the pentahelix dimension and indicator in Kartono and Hermawan. The first, academic as conceptor, business as the object of creativity, community as accelerator, government as regulator, media as expander, supporting publication, promotion, and brand image. The number type of relation between stakeholder in Robert. The first, government with academic, government with business, government with communities, government with media, academic with media, academic with communities, academic with business, media with business, communities with business, and communities with media. Next, the concept creativity economy. The concept of the creative economy extend creativity on the entire aspect of the economic, includes socio-economic process and the organization of labor and creative activity. There were 3 coordination of creative economic, which were creativity, invention, and innovation. The next concept as community attitude. People's participation was critical and development, as it should not be separated from the cultural value of the local community and cause environment degradation. Therefore, the development process could create purpose, community, and environment sustainability in Palembunga. Next, the last, the concept of development. Economic development was the development of an economic well of country's region for the well-being of their population. In Mayer, economic development encompasses the process and policy implemented by the government to improve the economy, politics, and social welfare of their citizens. In Wicaksono, 3 main stakes of development. The first, planning, implementation, and evaluation.
Okay, thank you. I want to explain the method of our research. Our research method is qualitative method, data collecting with literature study, interview, and focus group discussion. And then the respondent, 190 interview respondent and 12 FGD participants, including local government agencies, culinary businesses, religious tourism actor, other creativity economy actor, communities, and media. And then the data analysis method is interactive model with the following stage: data reduction, data display, and conclusion drawing or verification. And then the result and discussion, our research is number 1, the respondents were not fully aware of the vision of CIREBON city to become a creative city based on history and culture. And number 2, the respondents understood that participatory creative economic development aimed to create employment opportunities, promote tourism, and introduce CIREBON local culture. And number 3, the result and discussion is the respondents consider that the success of creative economic development could be indicated by the economic progress of the community surrounding business location. And yes.
The respondents discussed that in the implementation stage of creative city development, the pentahelix stakeholders actively participate in various activities. The respondent discussed some of the form of the local government of Cirebon city's engagement with creative businesses and communities in developing a creative city. The sixth, the respondents discuss some of the forms of participation carried out by the universities, such as small creative business assistant. The seventh, the research found that the pentahelix stakeholders, which have the most dominant participation in the creative city development, were culinary business actors. The eighth, the research finding indicate that during the development evaluation stage, it was more dominantly carried out by the local government agencies as the executor of creative economics development programs in Cirebon City. The ninth, this research found that these factors hindered the stakeholders' participation in creative city development in Cirebon City. The conclusion will be presented of Mr. Toni.
Okay, conclusion, we have during the conclusion from the audition. The first conclusion is pentahelix stakeholders participate in the stages of the creative city development, starting from the business actor data collection, socialization, training, management, and facilitation of business license permit. The second conclusion is the stakeholders' participation in creative city development was in the form of the participation in the small and medium business development program, such as conducted by Rumah Kreatif BUMN or the RKB. The third conclusion, factor that inhibited the stakeholder participation in creative city development in Cirebon City, where the limited socialization, limited collaboration between the stakeholders and etc. And the recommendation, we have the 4 recommendations for the auditor. The first recommendation is the Cirebon City government through the regional government agencies need to engage all the pentahelix stakeholders. The second recommendation, the government encourage other creative economic subsector to participate in every stage of the creative city development program. For the example, promoting religious tourism and performing art during events. The third recommendation, the government needs to improve the capacity of creative business through training, facilitation of the permit and certification and education on potential creative business opportunity. The fourth recommendation or the last recommendation is through the pentahelix stakeholder, participative creative economic development must be integrated through the tourism, event, destination, and attraction to promote economic development in Cirebon City. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. I yield the floor for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation from the first presenter. Let's now continue with the second presentation with the title of Effectiveness of Distribution of Social Protection Programs during the COVID-19 pandemic in Sumedang Regency, with the authors of Ms. Nugrahana, Fitria, Ruhyana, S.P. M.A., who is a researcher in the field of socioeconomics at the Research and Development Planning Agency in Sumedang Regency. With the second author from Mr. Hadi Ferdiansyah, STPMEL, is a planner at the same agency, often collaborates in research related to the problems of social protection programs and the vulnerability of micro and small businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic. The research results have been published in journals and become policy recommendations for the government in Sumedang Regency. Let's begin the second presentation.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon,
sorry.
everyone. Today we will present our paper. The paper title is Mapping Household Staple Food Consumption
Sorry,
to
linknya bukan
Improve
yang ini.
Food Security After the...
Ada di chat tadi saya. Maaf.
Ada di chat videonya.
Yes, okay.
We are currently, there is a technical issue. Please wait a minute.
Compiled by Nugrahana, Fitria, Ruhyana, and me, myself, Hadi Ferdiansyah. This title of this study is Effectiveness of Distribution of Social Protection Programs During the COVID-19 Pandemic in Sumedang Regency. Okay, let's start with the introduction of the study. As we know, poverty will increase in 20 and 21 due to the economic recessions brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. The economic recessions occurs both at the national, regional, and city levels, including Sumedang Regency. At the time, the government had expanded the scope of recipients of social protection and increased the amount distributed to the community. So the question of the study, first, has the social protection distribution been right on target? And the second, what efforts are needed to improve the effectiveness of social protections? Based on those questions, so the purpose of this study is to find out the effectiveness of social protection provided as a strategy to reduce poverty. The study has a scope and limitation, which is the use of 20 and 21 SUSENAS data for location in Sumedang Regency. Everyone, this study is not to discuss the errors or the irregularities, but is structured to be part of the solution to poverty alleviations. So the benefit of this study is to find the information or the insight from the analysis that can be used to improve the social protection distribution systems at all levels of government in Indonesia. All right, for the next presentation will be continued by Mr. Nugrahana.
Okay, thank you, Pak Hadi. Let's move on to the method section. The type of research is descriptive qualitative method. Data source from SUSENAS score period March 2021 from BPS, and another data from relevant agencies in Sumedang Regency government obtained in FGD. Research subject is household receiving social protection programs, and there are 4 programs that can be analyzed from SUSENAS data, namely Program Keluarga Harapan, or we term it as PKH, as Indonesian Conditional Cash Transfer Program. and bantuan pangan tunai as a food assistant. Kartu Indonesia Pintar as assistant in the field of education for household with school children. And the last is Kartu Keluarga Sejahtera as assistant for person with underprivileged social welfare problem, including person with disabilities or the elderly. And the research procedure is dividing household respondent on SOSNAS into decile based on household expenditure. And then identification of household receiving social protection programs. Then descriptive analysis of recipient of social protection programs based on decile of expenditure group. And the last, discuss the result of the analysis and recommendation needed with stakeholder in a focus group discussion. And this is the result of our research. The percentage of households receiving social protection programs is limited, so they must be fully effectively distributed and accepted by appropriate community. As an initial illustration, BPS released a report on the percentage of households receiving social protection programs, but it is not yet clear whether these recipients are the most vulnerable groups or bottom 40 who should receive social protection programs. To see whether the beneficiary distribution has been received by those who deserve it, we divide households based on 10 expenditure class. Decile 1 is the lowest spending class and Decile 10 is the highest spending class. We can see at the top graph the distribution of PKH or Program Keluarga Harapan recipients from Decile 1 to Decile 10, even though the largest portion of the PKH recipient is still in Decile 1. The next largest portion is in Decile 4, while recipients in Decile 2 are actually lower than Decile 7. And in the graph below, we can find out the proportion of the use of PKH assistance by recipient. And we can see that the largest portion of PKH usage for school fees and food expenditure. Total PKH received bottom 40 is only 58.3%. And this is a percentage household receiving PIP or Program Indonesia Pintar. The proportion of PIP recipients turned out to be most accepted by household at Decile 4, followed by Decile 5 and Decile 7, which were higher than recipients at Decile 1, Decile 2, and Decile 3. Total bottom 40 of PIP recipient only 50.7%, and this is the lowest proportion of social protection program received by the bottom 40 compared to other types of assistance. And this is the percentage of household receiving KKS or Kartu Keluarga Sejahtera. The proportion of KKS recipient is also not ideal, where the most recipients are in Decile 4. Even Decile 10 is still received about 4%, and total KKS bottom 40 recipient is 57%. And the next is percentage of household receiving BPNT or bantuan pangan non tunai, and the proportion of BPNT recipient is relatively better, with the total recipient at the bottom 40 at 65.7%, and the most are in Decile 1. But the proportion of Decile 4 is still higher than Decile 2 and Decile 3. So, compared to other type of social protection programs, BPNT distribution tends to better. This is a comparison of the proportion of recipients of social protection programs in 2018, which represent the condition before the COVID-19 pandemic. Graph side left, and in the right graph is the proportion of the recipient of social protection programs in 2021, which were conditioned during the pandemic. It can be seen that the most households at the bottom 40 receive more social protection program compared to the upper class of expenditure, Decile 5 to Decile 10, before the pandemic. While during the pandemic in 2021, the proportion of households receiving social protection program at the bottom 40 decreased. Even the proportion of recipients in Decile 5 and Decile 7 became higher than Decile 2 and Decile 3,
who should have been more deserving of assistance. This condition indicates an increase of inclusion error, namely those who should not receive the program, but instead receive, and exclusion error, where many households should have received the program, but did not get it. The conclusion of the study answers first question, has the social protection distribution been right on target? And the distribution of social protection program during the pandemic tends to expand to high expenditure group, so that the proportion of recipient household at the bottom 40 becomes lower. In the other words, there is an increase in inclusion error and exclusion error. This could be one of the cause of raising poverty, even though the social protection program have expanded their scope during the pandemic. And the second question is related to what effort needed to be made to make the effectiveness of social protection program better. And this is discussed in focus group discussion. We need to accuracy of target data of recipient on social protection program to improve, and also improving the mechanism for distribution and evaluating assistance so that it can be accepted by the most vulnerable group of households. The recommendation we provide to overcome the problem of the distribution of social protection programs that are not on target based on FGD include data verification and validation. Must be ensure integrate data with population data and civil registry or NIK and confirm to its recipient, because there are still recipients who are in register but do not receive assistance. And we need to updating data regularly with the role of RT or neighborhood and RP or hamlet in village deliberation. So the fund receive according to the rights. Then we need to improvement of the distribution mechanism. Transfer directly to the recipient account with the ATM card held by the recipient of the social protection program. In addition, we need to empowering small micro enterprises at the local level. It also ensures the quality of food received in good condition. And the next is monitoring and evaluation. Monitoring and evaluation of updating data and distribution of social protection program, and evaluation of the welfare of social protection program recipient, or before and after receive program, so that it is monitor how much success the program has in improving the living standards of the beneficiary community. Okay, that's our presentation, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you for the second presentation. Let's now continue with the third presentation with the title of Risk Management of Adverse Childhood Experiences Effects Among Adolescents Indonesian Context, with the presenters from Mr. Daniswara Agusta Wijaya, S.Psi, M.Si Psycholog, who is a junior lecturer at Psychology Faculty of Sugiyopranoto Catholic University that has been worked since 2021. Daniswara has taken part in numbers of international joint research, specifically on the topic of neuropsychology and developmental psychology. Besides, he is also a clinical psychologist with focus on children and adolescents. Several journal articles and therapy modules have been published not only as the outcomes of his research projects, but also clinical practices. So without further ado, let's begin the third presentation.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, all the participants of SIC 2022, which is the first Sustainability International Conference. Greetings from Semarang. Please introduce myself. Let me introduce myself. My name is Daniswara Agusta Wijaya. I'm one of the full-time lecturer from Faculty of Psychology, Sugiyopranoto Catholic University. So today I will try to explain, try to elaborate my study in the scope of well-being, human well-being. My paper or my presentation today with the title of Risk Management of Adverse Childhood Experiences, Effects Among Adolescents using Indonesian context, using Indonesian perspective. So we will not just try to talk about the risk management, but specifically using Indonesian cultural context or points of view. Why we need to brought up, why I think we need to bring this issue, because first of all, in fact, many children in developing countries are in high risk of experiencing adversity, which known as adverse childhood experiences, or we can just call it ACEs, including Indonesia. Well, for some of you who didn't know well about this construct, ACEs, or adverse childhood experiences, it's basically any traumatic event exposure or any adversities that experienced by individual during their childhood. So we are not just talking about children specifically, but we also will talk about human in general, individual in general, during their lifespan development. So basically, we are all in the risk of experiencing adverse childhood experiences at least once in our lifetime. But it's just sometimes we aware of it, but sometimes we are not fully aware of experiencing this traumatic event, or ACEs. The latest data from the Ministry of Empowerment of Women and Children Protection of Republic of Indonesia in 2019 presented that 33% of the children who received abuse were within 0 up until 12 years old. So yeah, well, maybe our conception, or maybe our concept, or maybe our thought about having a family living with children, if we need to provide love, provide food, provide economical stability to our children. But in fact, in Indonesia, 33% of the children receive abuse. The abuse cases vary from the physical hit, or maybe kick, or something like when parents try to discipline their children using slap, or maybe it could be anything that sometimes we are not fully aware of it. Psychological, verbally, and abandonment is one of the different kinds of abuse that sometimes happen to the children. In Indonesia, ACS mainly consists of these issues, or this, what is that? This type of ACEs: violence in the form of physical abuse, verbal abuse, even sexual harassment, and then physical abandonment and emotional abandonment. This is based on the previous research by Felty and Vidyorini, the recent publication. Individuals who are experiencing ACEs at least once in their life would also experiencing changes, and those changes then might severely affect their social life. So it's not just the consequences that happened during the time of adversity. It will have long-term effect, such as their social life, physical health, or even their mental state or well-being. And this one that we really need to be concerned, because when they having like issues or when they are having difficulties with social life, physical health, and mental state, it will affect obviously the social community, the environment, and all the things that revolving around this individual. Based on research in Indonesia conducted by Fitria and Wijaya, resilience and post-traumatic growth were able to be the key point of improvement towards higher level of well-being among adolescents and adults. So basically, a research has been conducted in Indonesia, specifically using Indonesian perspective, on what's the key point that might be used as the basis of the risk management of ACEs effects. But but unfortunately that up until now there are still no literature review or a framework that really working on how Indonesian people or Indonesian government should have specific policy, culturally based, Indonesian culturally based, that really address this issue. So back to findings on how resilience and post-traumatic growth as protective factors have been presented, the implementation haven't been addressed. And since it is important to be addressed, this paper aimed to study the Indonesian-based implementation of the previous research and then all the documents, all the literature that are related to how we need to construct, how we need to arrange, how we need to really really make or like having risk management or policy that related to the improvement or maybe prevention of negative ACS effects among adolescents. Well, this study was conducted using systematic review on several previous literatures with specific keywords related to adverse childhood experiences in Indonesian adolescents, and also findings and suggestions of previous studies related to risk management were then reviewed, and this is the result. In Indonesian perspective, previous research has shown numbers of adversities such as violence, neglect or abandonment, family dysfunction, and also malnourishment that happening in Indonesia. This specific adversity is happening, and it's somehow different from another developing countries or even in developed countries. Since Indonesia is an archipelago, which consists of many islands, makes it very, very difficult to achieve equitable distribution of social economic growth. So this is, in Indonesia cases, in Indonesia context, this is really the main issue of how we are not it's quite difficult to achieve really equitable distribution of this growth, infrastructure, socio-economic, education, and all the issues. Results from some regions of Sulawesi and even in Java displays the varied concept of ACS across cultures in Indonesia. So yeah, basically each region in this country have their own perception of how we experiencing ACS, especially areas that still hold really tight or hold really strong on their cultural norms or adat law. We call it adat in Indonesia, the traditional law, have higher risk of children experiencing number of ACS since when we in Java or maybe in some regions in other islands, when we are not on track with the adat, but sometimes we will be punished based on adat law, and it's usually like, yeah, have a strong discipline like hate or maybe neglect or maybe abandonment or even worse based on the cultural norms and adat law in some region, but not all region. However, Muslim on the recent articles proposed that despite many disadvantages of living in different level of socio-economic growth, even people in the rural area, parents such as Badui in this research, have particular way of preparing the children to be resilient with many vocational activities such as farming as experiential learning instead of engaging in formal school. So yeah, being resilient, being growing from adversity is not learned in school, formal school, but in experiential learning. So research conducted by Beaumont et al. Explained that protective factors of adolescents experiencing ACES are having educated parents, better socioeconomic status, valuing education, and living in a region with accessible and quality schooling and health services. So yeah, in order to formulate culture-based risk management, there are several issues in Indonesia specifically that should be taken into account, such as how ACS perceived based on local points of view. And specifically Indonesia, we need to address these three main issues. The first one is, of course, sustainable infrastructures such as public facilities, health facilities, the sustainability of the food system. Some of the region already achieve that kind of that level of sustainability, but some of them not. Specifically, as I said before, Indonesia is basically an archipelago, and it's hard to really embody the equity of the distribution. And then localized community resources. In Indonesia, we have community of adolescents which is called Karang Taruna. And it is interesting if we might facilitate the resilience, education, or maybe helps, or maybe safe environment from this Karang Taruna as localized community resources. And the third one is inclusive and indigenous school practices, having scholarship so they can have better education, creating more vocational activities in rural area to prevent the risk of ACS happening there. So it is not pushing forward the formal education. Oh, all of you need to join in the formal education, but instead adjusting the education system into more suitable or more appropriate way, such as vocational farming, maybe fishing, or maybe planting, and etc. So in conclusion, there are many adolescents living in Indonesia have been experiencing ACS during their childhood, and it is undeniable that being exposed by ACS might negatively affect physical health and mental well-being. Indigenous risk management need to be addressed through policy, as what I explained, 3 points, including economy and technology. This is the sustainability issues. And then community and law. This is where we need to facilitate really Karang Taruna as adolescents community to really change the perspective of adat law, specifically in the rural area, and then also education system and facilities that adjusted, not forcing the education system, but really make it appropriate to specific cultures. And then consistent indigenous programs on ACS effect risk management would facilitate growth among adolescents and then enhance the resilience level to have greater well-being. So maybe that's all that I can share with you today, and thank you for listening to my presentation.
Thank you for the third presentation. Is Mr. Adiswara here? If you are here, you can open your camera and test your microphone. Okay, let's now just open the Q&A session. May I remind you that the Q&A will roughly last for around 15 minutes. For the first question is from Mr. Nugrahana, FR. The question is interesting research from Mr. Daniswara. One of the results is that areas that still experience cultural norms have a higher risk of ACE. What types of culture can increase a child risk of developing ACE? Thank you. Because Mr. Daniswara is not here, I think we will only deliver the question. And yes, I think we will only deliver the question because Mr. Daniswara is not here. For the second question, is there any second question?
Can I have a question, please?
Yes, please.
I have a question to Mr. Nugrahana. It's very interesting research on the effectiveness of social protection in Sumedang. I would like to ask if did you explore the reasons why the Decile 10 citizens still accept the social protection programs from the government, even though they're not eligible? Thank you.
Sorry, maybe you repeat the question.
Okay. Did you explore the reasons why the Decile 10 citizens still receive social protection programs in Sumedang, even though they're not eligible and they're not the targeted citizen for the programs? Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Mrs. Indah, for the interesting question. And this is a problem in, I think, not only in Sumedang Regency, but also in Indonesian at national level. I see the data TNP2K. The result is same, that the distribute of social protection programs not fully targeted, and in this is caused from accuracy data is lower, so this is need improving. So the recipient social protection program must dominate in bottom 40. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Indah, for the question and Mr. Nugrahana for the answer. Next question is from Ms. Hani. My question is addressed to all presenters. How do you facilitate legal basis for your programs, or from your programs then become the legal basis for the future? And is your program then become the legal basis for the future? For the question is to all the presenters. I think Ms. Indah can answer first.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hani, for the question. Our programs to achieve creative city in Cirebon city is actually has the legal basis itself. it is stipulated in our RPJMD, or Regional Midterm Development Plan for 2018 and 2023, our 5-year development plan. But therefore, we're looking on it whether the legal basis itself is implemented in the area, whether the stakeholders are involved in the process of creating a creative city, because it is stated in a vision and the mission is stated in our regional regulations, and it also says that the city will involve the diverse stakeholders to implement this legal basis. But our findings shows that not all participants are participated in the development, from the planning, implementation, and evaluation. Mostly are culinary business actors, and usually most of them are not actually aware that there's a legal basis for the Cirebon city to become a creative city within these 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Indah, for the answer. And for the next presenter, is there Ms. Nugrahana or Mr. Hadi? You can answer the question from Ms. Hani.
Okay. Oh, Mr. Hadi. Mr. Hadi ada? Please, Mr. Hadi. Answer.
Mr. Ragana?
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry because I'm to answer the question from Ms. Hani about the program that we must be the basis legal basis for this study. Maybe for the legal basis is in the progress, but it not only in Sumedang Regency, because the effectiveness of the social assistant or social protective program is collaborate with the national government, regional government, and of course in Sumedang Regency. So it must be conduct, or it must be construct with all of the level of the government in Indonesia. That's it, my answer of the question. Maybe Mr. Nugraha will add the answer.
Yes, the result of our research is become input for policymakers in improving to better distribution of social assistance. Okay, the time.
Okay,
that's
thank
all.
you
Thank you.
from the second presenter for the answer. However, for the third presenter, Mr. Daniswara is not here, so he cannot participate during the Q&A session. So let's go to, is there any third question? Is there any third question? Okay, for the reactors. Okay.
Okay, so my question will be addressed to the first presenter. Is my voice clear enough?
Sorry, there's feedback, ma'am.
Okay.
Are you in the same room with the operator?
Yes.
I think one of you should turn off the audio for a while.
How about right now?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay. So, well, actually, this topic is really interesting, but it is not my cup of tea. because my background is in education, but yeah, I am really interested in this topic because this is really relates to our current condition. So I have one question. So to what extent do government involve or participate in supporting or encouraging the collaboration among all pentahelix aspects? Because I assume that when we want to develop the creative economy or increase the development of the creative economic industry, all the aspects should go hand in hand. So is there any program or will it be program that align or that contribute all the pentahelix aspect? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Krismalita, for the questions. Is there anyone from my team would like to answer first? Mas Tri, Mr. Toni, Mr. Kartono, Mrs. Yanah. All right, I think I should continue. So based on the questions, that is also our question on the research. We would like to evaluate how far or to what extent the government promote and encourage collaboration between the pentahelix. We see the collaboration should appear during the planning, implementation, and evaluation process. During the planning session, we have musrenbang, musyawarah perencanaan pembangunan, development planning assembly, where the Bapeda or Regional Development Agency invites multi-stakeholders to formulate or give recommendation or on our development plan. However, it's still basically rhetorical and very limited very limited invitation to these musrenbang events. During the implementation, there are several collaborations, but it's not five-pronged collaboration, not like government would involve all the stakeholders, including media, communities, universities, or the business sectors. Usually it's only triple helix, not pentahelix, but usually only triple helix. So government will collaborate with business sectors to educate them, to give training on capacity training or marketing, or with the experts from the universities as their community development programs. Usually media are not participated, even though media has very significant role to promote that collaboration and socialize that programs, so that more and more sectors will be involved. So ideally, we expect there will be pentahelix or 5 stakeholders involved in one programs or initiatives, but usually it's only double helix or triple helix. I hope that answers your questions.
Ms. Indah for the answer. That will be the last question for the Q&A session. Let's now move to the next, which we will give the certificate to appreciate your participation. Masuk tapi nggak benar. This is a certificate to appreciate your participation. Thank you to all of the presenters for the participation during the parallel session. for those who are in our Zoom room can give a reaction through your virtual reactions. Thank you. Well, let's now take a picture for us. For those who are in the Zoom room, you can open your camera. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, the next, maybe we can take a picture with freestyle. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of the session. We thank all of you for participating actively. We hope new insights and new collaborations have been found as one of the results of today's session. We remind you, if you haven't shown your attendance, please fill in the attendance in the bit.ly form provided in the chat room. Thank you once again for participating. We hope to see you again tomorrow in another interesting and intriguing plenary and parallel session. We sincerely hope you will continue to have a fruitful day. Thank you. Good day.
Good day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to this breakout Zoom room for the second parallel session for the day. I'm David Gunawan. I'm from the English department of the Faculty of Language and Arts at this university. Our Zoom operator is Stieven Nathanael from the computer science faculty. There's also liaison officer here if you need particular assistance in anything that becomes your problem. Together, we are greatly honored to be of service to help you experience the success of the second SIC parallel session. Please allow me to inform you of a number of rules and regulations to have our sessions in order. First, we will have 3 sessions each day. The session will start with a small introduction about our speakers before the prepared YouTube video are ready to be viewed by all of us. The video will take around 12 to 15 minutes each. During the playing of the videos, participants are invited to post any questions or comments in the Zoom chat room by mentioning to which researcher the question is addressed. As an alternative, if it is better to ask the question directly, then we suggest you use the raised hand facility in the Zoom room. When the time is available, we will choose who should direct the questions. All presenters and audience are encouraged to be on camera and use the virtual background supplied in the chat facility during the Q&A sessions. The Q&A session will roughly last for 15 minutes. When asking a question, we ask that you would first mention your name and from which institution you are. Make sure that you ask one short, clear, and concise question. If you think that the question is too long or not clear enough, we may need to cut short your questions, so someone else may use the time to ask some other question. In case there are no questions from the audience, however, we will invite our room reactors to react to the presentation by giving suggestions or questions to the researcher. We hope everyone will have a successful presentation and the Q&A will benefit everyone. Dear presenters and audiences, now it's the time for our first session of researchers to present the research with the title Tourism Destination Development Model Through Community-Based Tourism Approach. The authors of this title are Dr. Insinyur Winarna M.A., Ms. Tutun Seliari ST M.Sc, Dr. Insinyur Paulus Bawel M.AP. Is Dr. Insinyur Winarna M.A. in here?
Yeah.
Okay. Please open your camera and test your microphone. Okay, now that we are all ready, please unmute yourselves so we may enjoy viewing the the second YouTube presentation. So without further ado, let's begin our second sessions.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Paulus Bawel, and I am a representative of our group, our research group, Winarno Tutun Seliari. And today I want to explain about our research paper titled Tourism Destination Development Model Through Community-Based Tourism Approach, with a case study, Hargorejo Village in Kokak, Kulon Progo, Indonesia. This is our background of our research here. We have 4 background of our research. The first is of shifting the tourism paradigm during the COVID-19 pandemic. So during this pandemic, there are so many changing about the tourism paradigm. And so with this, we try to do the research in this area. The second one is the opportunity of the Jalur Bedah Menoreh or Bedah Menoreh Road. So Bedah Menoreh Road is from new airport of Yogyakarta up to the Borobudur in the central Java. So this road is very interesting because so many destination area in this area. And then the third one is the regional tourism strategic area from Sermo, Trering to Wates. Here is Waduk Sermo, and here is the city of Wates. So during this, the road here, we can experience so many interesting area. So one is the research area. This is the potential of Hargorejo tourism village. There are so many interesting objects that we do our research in this area. We did our research in this area. So after this, according to our field research, you can see here tourism potential in Hargorejo village and also the productive economy of the people who live in this area. So if you can see here, here is all the potential of tourism area. Bukit Pangonan, Sendang, Beji, and etc. There's so many here. And the other side, the productive economy of the people is also so interesting to be visited by the tourists in this Hargorejo village, like pembuatan besek, produk gula semut, and also produk legen, and some bags for the family. So according to this field research, we try to make our research question. So how is the development of tourism destination in Hargorejo village? And the second one is, what is the role of the community in developing the tourism area in this Hargorejo? And we can see here, after the research question, we try to make some research objectives. Research objectives is the commendation of tourism spatial planning in Hargorejo village and the study of the community role in the development tourist destination in Hargorejo village. So with this question and research object, we try to develop our methodology how to do the research. So here is our method here. Actually, this is an action research based on community action planning. We did the pre-community action planning with identification of potentials and problems through field survey and secondary data. And then we make also workshop, a community action plan, again community action plan, because the community involved in the whole process of our research. So this is a presentation of mapping result, and then we try to develop also focus group discussion, explore problems and formulate the solution together with the community. And afterward, the post-community action plan, we try to implementation the Hargorejo tourism village development model. So this is the method, and this one, the diagram of our model. The objective of our research is tourism destination development model. So through identification potential and problem, we try to develop this potential based on tourism destination model with community-based tourism. So there are 5 aspects that we have to pay into account, take into account. One is the economic dimension, social dimension, political dimension, cultural dimension, and also the environmental dimension. So this will be explained later on in the next slide. So this is the result of the discussion. As I explained before, that this 4 steps we did the research. First is we have to do survey. We have to do survey with Omang Kijang. This is the object that we visited during the field research. After doing the field research, we make a focus group discussion together with the community also. Like here in this explanation, here is also the focus group discussion. And afterward, we are doing the workshop. The aim of the workshop is to try to find the priority of destination. So the priority of the destination, we found that Omang Kijang and Lapangan Anjir is the main destination area that we have to make a plan together with the community also. Then we develop the destination model here. From the picture here, we can see all of our activity. Here is the activity of focus group discussion, doing the explanation of the people, the local people, to explain about the potential. Afterward, we're doing the field research together with the community. Then we try to make a workshop. If you see here the workshop, that all communities very active to make a plan by themselves, according to the people themselves. We differentiate into 3 groups, and every group try to discuss what is their opinion. And then at the last, they make a presentation of what they are thinking about developing the tourism area in Hargorejo village. So this is the tourism spatial plan in Hargorejo village. According to this map, we can see that so many several tourism destination area that we in the Hargorejo village. So the potential that can be identified and packaged into tourism attraction in Hargorejo village is micro, small, medium enterprise (MSME), or in Indonesia UMKM, the natural tourism, religious tourism, educational tourism, cultural tourism, natural resources, social infrastructure facilities, and geographical location. Every aspect here, there are the destination or the tourism destination is spread out in the whole area of the village. And now we can see the analysis of tourism destination model. As I explained in the diagram before, that there are 5 dimensions of the peoples to take into account. The first dimension is economic dimension. It's economic dimension about how the government support of the tourism development and then community productive business, and some constraint we try to identify like MSME, supporting infrastructure, lack of promotion, and this is the constraint of developing the economic here. And the other one is the social dimension, the second one. For the social dimension, communities and there are so many organizations in the village to do the business in the tourism destination. And then we try to collaborate with those people in order to develop the tourism destination. The third one is the cultural dimension. If we talk about culture, there are so many cultural activities in this village. The existence of tourism village is conservation and culture. Why we do the conservation of culture? Because so many interesting cultural potential, like here, Tari Jatilan, Langan Krida, so many in this Hargorejo village. Then the fourth one is the environmental dimension. To talk about environmental dimension, we have the natural potential opportunities of the tourism, because you know in this area there are so many forests and the natural forests, and also the paddy fields. This is quite interesting here. So like here, the other potential is mangan mining in Kliripan, and also Kedendungan and Omakijan. So this is very interesting about the environmental dimension. And the last one is the political dimension. The political dimension, community engagement. This is the priority that the people, the community themselves, they have to decide what they want to do and try to develop according to their capabilities. Of course, we have also advocacy from other, like us as a academic person, to develop this area in order to improve also the economic level of the people. Then this is we come to the conclusion. So our conclusion is Hargorejo tourism village development process that we described in the following chart. So this is the conclusion. So the first, we try to find a stakeholder here. Yeah. There's also community or business and industry, academic person, government, and media. Because these 5 actors, actually there are many, or there are some small actors here, and these stakeholders should do the collaboration. So So with this collaboration, the power of the people to develop this area is very, very good. So after doing this collaboration, we try to develop the diagram like this. Then we can see this collaboration, they have to take into account about some aspect like social, economic, culture, environment, and politics. So this there is aspect that we have to take into account can help the people to develop their economy through the tourism tourism development in the Hargorejo village. At the last, you can see here that we have how should I say that? This is something like a slogan. So we try together with the people how to make a aim or the whole tourism the destination. I mean, the collaboration of not a collaboration, but that's something like how to combine this all with this one slogan. In Indonesia, we call it Citra Pesona Wisata Hargorejo, or this is a tourism fascination image of Hargorejo, because there are so many images. And with this slogan, we try to ask the people to improve, to empower people in order to develop the tourism destination in Hargorejo village. So thank you so much for your attention. Hope all of our presentation can be useful for our results for the next season. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you for a fruitful presentation during the first session. Let's now continue with the second session with the title Workforce Empowerment in PT Kalista Prima Pirantinda. The authors of this title are Ms. Inzilia Trivena Mamusung, Ms. Okrasia Michelle Ding, Mr. Aditya Iman Sutomo, Mr. Andrew Arian Chandra, Mr. Joshua Johannes Moniaga, and Dr. Rustina Untari S.A. M.Sc. Is Ms. Inzilia Trivena Mamusung in here?
Yes.
Okay, please open your camera and test your microphone.
Okay.
Okay, now that we are all ready, please unmute all of yourselves so we may enjoy viewing the second YouTube presentation. So without further ado, let's begin our second sessions.
Thank you for this opportunity. Now we will begin our presentation about workforce empowerment in PT Kalista Prima Piranti Indah. First, I will explain the background of our paper. As we know, people who don't have the requirements to work in the formal sector are quite common in Indonesia. For example, people who have passed their productive age, people with low levels of education, and people with disabilities. Most of companies require workers who are still fit or healthy and have a high level of education and productivity for the sustainability of their company. This problem certainly makes an influence on increasing unemployment in Indonesia. Concerned about the social problems, PT Kalista Prima Piranti Indah, as one of the sociopreneur-based company, helps local communities to be able to work without any requirements and without having strong skills or physicality. In addition, they realize that welfare must be balanced with improving the quality of the workforce. So, PT Kalista Prima Piranti Indah also cooperates with the Citra Insan Indonesia Development Foundation to empowering the workforce, such as mentoring and training. Based on that, we will be discuss more about workforce empowerment in PT Kalista Prima Piranti Indah as one of the sociopreneur-based company. But before that, let's move on to the definition of sociopreneur and empowerment.
Now I will explain about theoretical basic of a sociopreneur. The definition of sociopreneur, according to Umi Uswatun Kasanah 2021, sociopreneur is a person who runs his business, is not only oriented to make a profit, but also conducts a social business that aims to make change in a more advanced direction to the surrounding population. Then his character. A sociopreneur must have a high sense of social, focus on social issues, innovative, receive criticism, and feedback well. Then the aspect. A sociopreneur must having a goal or mission, recognizing and assessing opportunities, risk management, identify, attract consumer, and cash flow. Then the community empowerment. According to Coalition 2011, community empowerment is a method, process, and efforts to improve knowledge and skill for Indonesian workers to improve the quality of human resource owned by each individual. PT Kalista Prima Piranti Indah makes several trainees and assistants for workforce empowerment. For example, occupational health and safety training and quality control training. I will explain what is the two empowerment activities are. The first one is quality control. According to Juran Inskon-Becker and Knott 1997, quality control is the process of achieving goals during operation. Quality control includes 5 stages. First, determine what should be controlled. Second, determine the unit of measurement. Third, set performance standard. Fourth, measuring performance. And the last one is evaluation by comparing actual performance with performance standards. Next is occupational health and safety. According to REGENCY 2016, occupational health and safety is a top and effort to ensure the integrity and perfection of both physical and spiritual labor in particular and humans in general. They work and culture towards a prosperous and prosperous society.
PT Kalista Prima Piranti Indah have 25 permanent employees, 12 day laborers, and also wholesale workers. For piece workers, they are parents or residents who live in an environment that is no longer able to work formally without having strong skills or physically, but can sort out plastic bottle waste. For daily workers, usually young people who came from outside the area, the company provides accommodation in the form of boarding houses as a place to live for workers who live outside the area. Young workers are hired for tough and physically strong jobs. Salaries are given to daily workers once a week, while wholesale workers are paid every day at 3 p.m. Payments to piece workers are made in accordance with the result of work, with a calculation per kilogram. Now, let's move on to the mentoring and training. PT Kalista Prima Piranti Indah was accompanied by the Citra Insan Indonesia Development Foundation to empower the workforce. This foundation is a non-profit organization with social and environmental interests that collaborate with Filia, Denon, and Aqua to assist the CC Collection Center, where their task is to ensure goods to help collect data on the stalls owned by Kalista Prima, providing training and mentoring for workforce. The first empowerment activities the Citra Insan Indonesia Development Foundation do for the company workforce is quality control. PT Kalista Prima Piranti Indah provides quality control training for every employees related to quality control of goods to be processed, which checking what kind of goods and bottles can enter the company and be pre-processed. The goals of this training is to ensure that the goods meets the requirements of the customers.
The second one is occupational health and safety. Occupational health and safety training should ensure that employees at least know the reason why they wear safety vests in the dark and why they must wear gloves when working. The use of a safety vest is a must when working in a dark place for people to see. Safety vests must use bright color, such as green, orange, blue, etc., so that they can be seen from afar. And furthermore, the use of gloves is to prevent employees' hand from dangerous items, such as glass, rusty iron, etc. This procedure must be in place to prevent employees from illness or infection. The purpose of occupational health and safety is to create a safe work environment, so as to reduce the possibility of work accident or illness due to unpreparedness, which cause decreased motivation and decreased work productivity. The next one is safety vest color. There is various colors of safety vest. The color red, typically used in safety signs or labels, is used to signify danger. The color orange is used to signal people of hazardous machine or other equipment. The color yellow is used to alert people to any type of safety caution. The color green is used to inform people of emergency exits, as well as upon the location of the first aid kit and safety equipment. The color blue is used on informative level. And then the third one is training at the final disposal site. They use 3R concept, which stands for reduce, reuse, and recycle. Assistance at landfills involves collector or lapa in Indonesia to sort waste in the hope that landfills can apply the concept of zero waste. Namely, there is no disposal to the final disposal site. The assistance is by providing guidance regarding the types of plastic waste materials that can be sold to the companies and coaching related to the use of waste that cannot be recycled to be used as a handicraft, such as flower pots, buckets, etc. With the sorting of waste, in addition to increasing the value of waste, it can also benefit the company, because later, the material obtained by manufacturer have been selected so that the sorting process will be faster.
PT Kalista Prima Piranti Indah is a plastic bottle and glass recycling company that applies the sociopreneur concept. It is said to be a sociopreneur because, broadly speaking, the purpose of building a company is because of concern for the problem that arise in the community, namely, relate to the number of people who are no longer eligible to receive formal job, but still have to work to meet the need of life. So there are 2 points from the sociopreneur activity carried out by company. First, accommodate workers who do not meet the requirement in formal work. After accommodating workers who do not meet the requirement, they empower workers who do not meet requirement in formal work. In addition to the opportunity, the surrounding community to be able to return to work. The company reaches out the Citra Insan Indonesia Development Foundation to empower the workforce in improving the quality of the workforce. The empowerment is in the form of occupational health and safety, or K3 training, quality control training, and mentoring. At TPS 3R, reduce, reuse, recycle. By activating the workforce by PT Kalista Prima Piranti Indah, the workforce and the surrounding community begin to understand new understanding and habit in sorting waste or distinguishing what types of waste are suitable for recycling and made into high value good, improve work quality, improve the local economy, and reduce movement in the area around the company. That's the result of our research about the empowerment of the workforce. PT Kalista Piranti Indah, and thank you.
Okay, thank you for a fruitful presentation during the second session. Let's now continue with the third session with the title, regional innovations to support competitiveness in Jawa Tengah Province, Indonesia. The authors of this title are Ms. Hafsi Nur Asmi, SPWK, Dr. Holipina Wijaya, Insinyur M. Sakti MM, Mr. Setyo Aji Wijayanto, STM Link. Is Ms. Hafsi Nur Asmi in here?
Yes, I'm here. Please call Mr.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Please, okay. Okay, now that we are all ready, please unmute yourself so we may enjoy viewing the third YouTube presentation. So without further ado, let's begin our third sessions.
Hello everyone, allow me here, Hafsi Nur Asmi from Urban and Regional Planning, Faculty of Engineering, Wibowo University. I would like to present my presentation on the title Regional Innovation to Support Competitiveness in Jawa Tengah Province, Indonesia. So the first one about the outline of my presentation. There is research background, literature review, results and discussion, and conclusion of the results. The first one about the research background. There are three aspects that underline this research. The first one about the current condition of competitiveness and innovation in Jawa Tengah Province. So based on the regional competitiveness assessment in Jawa Tengah Province, the average value of the innovation ecosystem in the regency or city in Central Java Province is one aspect that is still below the average value. But on the other side, Central Java Provincial Government is one of the provinces with the highest innovative government award scores. And based on the literature, we know that innovation is a central aspect for growth and key for competitiveness in a knowledge economy. And knowledge and innovation are eminently important for securing competitiveness, dynamic growth, and prosperity of regional economies based on S.Psi 2016. And also there is a development policy by a government of Republik Indonesia and Jawa Tengah Provincial Regulation. So there is government regulation of the Republic of Indonesia number 38 of 2017 concerning regional innovation, and also the Jawa Tengah Provincial Regulation number 3 of 2019 concerning the implementation of Central Java Province regional innovation. So there are a problem. The regional innovation in Jawa Tengah needs to be properly internalized to support regional competitiveness. So the goals of this research is analyze the regional innovation in Jawa Tengah Province with a regional competitiveness perspective. So the first one about, so the next is about the literature review. So the first literature review is about the innovation, the regional innovation. So innovation is a central aspect for growth and key for competitiveness in a knowledge economy based on OECD. And also based on endogenous growth theory, emphasize on the role of knowledge production and technological skills that determine regional economic growth. So the knowledge production and technological skills are important for regional economic growth. So based on Lakonen and Rohde 2016, the concept of a regional innovation system is characterized by the four subsystems: the regional policy subsystem by regional public authorities, knowledge application and exploitation subsystem by companies, social institutional factors, formal and informal institution, and knowledge generation and diffusion subsystem by public research institutes. So the knowledge and innovation are eminently important for securing competitiveness, dynamic growth, and prosperity of regional economy. And the second literature is about the competitiveness based on the Porter-Dreyman model of competitiveness. We know that competitiveness of an economy is defined by a set of institutions, policy, and infrastructure that enhance and sustains the prosperity of a nation based on a World Economic Forum. And also in a regional level, a European Commission defines regional competitiveness as the ability of the region to produce goods and services which meet the test of international competition whilst maintaining high and sustainable income and employment level. So there are some of main pillars of or drivers of regional competitiveness. There are institution, infrastructure, macroeconomic environment, market size, labor market efficiency, and so on. Based on the Diamond model of Porter and World Economic Forum, and also European Commission, BRIN, Indonesia also developed regional competitiveness index with 4 main aspects: the enabling environment, human resource, market and innovation system, and 12 pillars that forming the competitiveness index. There is institution, infrastructure, regional economy, health, education, product market efficiency, employment, access to finance, market size, technology adoption, business dynamics, and innovation capacity. And next, about the data and method that used in this study. So the study or this research used data obtained from 35 regency or cities in Jawa Tengah province. The data taken includes implementation of regional innovation system policy, existence and development of innovation cluster based on regional established product, number of patents used by industry, number of university and research institutions, percentage of educated workforce compared to the total workforce, and so on. So this research used a quantitative method using descriptive statistical analysis and scoring analysis. The scoring analysis is carried out with Likert scale to assess indicators of regional innovation forming factors, regional innovation policy, knowledge application by companies, knowledge generation by public research institution, and socio-cultural factors. So the result, and we can discuss about the results. So Jawa Tengah province has supportive socio-cultural factors for regional innovation, but the challenge is the provision of regional innovation regulations and policy to create a good regional innovation system. As we can see, the socio-cultural factors is the highest factor of regional innovation in Jawa Tengah province with 3.4 grade, and the lowest score is regional innovation policy with 2.86 for regional innovation policy. So and Semarang City and Surakarta City are the regions with the highest regional innovation in Jawa Tengah. So we can go detail. The first one about the regional innovation policy. There are 7 indicators that we use in this research: the implementation of regional innovation system policy, existence and development of innovation clusters, local government collaboration with university and research institution, collaboration between local government and industry, and government collaboration with industry and research institution, local government budget for research and development, and the existence and condition of the Center for Research Excellence in Technopark. So based on the analysis we conducted, the average region or city in Central Java already has a regional innovation system policy and has applied it and has good, excellent product-based innovation cluster. But the challenge for region or city governments in Central Java are the initiation of collaborative research and development between the universities, research institutions, and companies that generate innovation in the provision of research center infrastructure or facilities. Second, we talk about the knowledge application by companies. So the challenge of knowledge application by companies is the limited number of companies with research and development units, and the use of patents that are already good also needs to be increased as a stimulant for product diversification produced by the company. And next, we talk about the knowledge generation by public research institution. So the challenge of knowledge generation by public research institution is the limited number of universities and research institutions and the patents they commercialize. And also ownership and good number of intellectual property can be optimized by commercialization so as to increase further innovation. And last, we talk about the socio-cultural factors. Jawa Tengah province has a fairly good quality workforce, which is expected to encourage innovation at the company level. And the challenge are the average length of school and the percentage of the number of graduates, thus requiring more intervention to create a supportive social environment for regional innovation. And the last about result of my research, we compare the competitiveness index of Central Java and regional innovation analysis results. So there are similarity between two of them. As we can see, Semarang and Surakarta city are the highest cities with the highest score of innovation, regional innovation and competitiveness index. So the conclusion, regional innovation are important for securing competitiveness, knowledge generation, knowledge application, regional policy and socio-cultural are factors that shape regional innovation. Jawa Tengah province has supportive socio-cultural factors for regional innovation, but the challenge is the provision of regional innovation regulations and policies to create a good regional innovation system. And also Semarang City and Surakarta City are the regions with the highest regional innovation in Jawa Tengah. And last, there are similarity between the distribution of regions with high competitiveness and regions with high regional innovation, which reinforce the statement that regional innovation is an important factor in regional competitiveness. So thank you for your attention. See you. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you for a fruitful presentation during the third session. Let's now continue with the Q&A session. The Q&A session will really last for around 15 minutes. For those who have any question, you may just type on the chat box or you may use the facilities to raise your hand. Is there any questions? Okay, the first question from Hani, Miss Hani, sorry. The question is addressed to the team of cultural tourist village presenters. Your program is likely to cause damage to the local customary environment. How do you prepare to handle it? Okay, for the team of cultural tourist village presenters, you may answer. Okay, for Dr. Insinyur Winarna, you may answer the question.
Okay, I'm trying to answer the question. Thank you so much for the question, but the question is okay, and then your program is likely to cause damage to the local customary environment. How do you prepare to handle it? Yeah, we should be careful with this tourism development, especially in the rural area, because if we do not take care, if we do not do the planning very careful, it will be image, not only the environment, but also the people themselves. I mean, people, local people. So, you know, in our presentation, my presentation before that, the strategy of the developing the rural and agricultural village is through the community-based tourism and through the CAP, Community Action Plan. What we did to prepare or to handle to anticipate the damage or the environmental damage. First of all, we have to come to the community. The community is the main actors for the planning. So usually the community just they know everything about the village, about the area, and then they explain about this one is potential, this one is problem, and everything. And then we visit the location, and we just check check the location. It is really damaged or really danger or not. And then after doing this, and then we are doing the we did the focus group discussion again, and then ask to the people, what do you want to do? And then after they explain about everything they want, we have to follow, but not directly to follow them, but we try to empower the people that they have to know about the hazards will happen if they develop like this. But mostly what we have seen in the area, they are doing very well. I mean, they prepare everything very good. Yeah. Of course, there are some damages. For instance, if you want to build the road, the pathway to the location, you will cut off the trees. But they always think about how to plant the new trees for after they cut these trees. It means that the awareness of good environmental for the people is very good. So that's why we make a model. We made 3 models, and we separated the people into 3 groups, and they have to design by themselves. And then we accompany them, and then try to empower the people through these methods. This method is quite interesting because this is not our thinking as an architect, as a good planner, but the good planner is the community themselves. But we have to be careful that we have to control, to check them, because sometimes they don't know that if they want to build something, it will be dangerous for the environment like you asked. That is what we handle. So we just follow the community, what they want, but we control them with our knowledge, especially for the hazard, especially for hazard for the environmental around the areas. So that is our strategy, how to handle, to prepare the community to develop the tourism destination area in Hargo village in Kulon Progo. So I hope it is answered what you question. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hani, for your questions. Okay, thank you for Miss Hani for your question, and thank you for Mr. Paulus Powell for answering. Okay, now for the second question. Okay, the second question is from Miss Krismalita. The question is addressed to the second presenter. How do higher education students involve in the workplace empowerment? Are there any real actions or contributions that the higher education students could do in the workforce empowerment? Okay, for the second presenter, you may answer. Miss Injilia. Miss Injilia Trivena Mamosung.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, you may answer the question.
Okay, I will try to answer the question. For the higher education students to involve the workforce empowerment, I think the real action is to contributions in the workforce empowerment. We can help the surrounding people on there and think about what should we do to improve their welfare. I think like that because most of the education students think that the welfare in the workforce empowerment is important thing. So we can involve in there by working together with some factory that do something like this on socialpreneur business that really looking to the socialpreneur or social things. Yes.
Okay, I hope that answer. Thank you for Miss Krismalita question, and thank you for Miss Injilia for answering. Okay, now it's time to the third question. Is there any question? Okay, I think that is the last question. Okay. Thank you for all the participations, for your participation. Okay, and now I would like to invite all of you to open our camera so we can have a photo session. Okay, we will start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we will try to pose another style in 3, 2, 1. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of the session. We thank you all of you for participating actively. We hope new insights and new collaboration have been found as one of the results of today's session. Before of that, I would like to show you the certificates to appreciate your participations. You also may use the reaction on Zoom by giving applause or maybe something else. Okay, I would like to also remind you, if you haven't shown your attendance, please fill in the attendance in the bit.ly form provided in the chat room. Thank you once again for participating. We hope to see you again tomorrow in another interesting and intriguing plenary and parallel session. We sincerely hope you will continue to have a fruitful day. Thank you and good day.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to this breakout Zoom room for the third parallel session for the day. I am Adelia Swanto from the English Department of the Faculty of Language and Arts at this university. Our Zoom operator is Stieven Nathanael from the Computer Science faculty. There is also a liaison officer here if you need particular assistance in anything that becomes your problem. Together, we are greatly honored to be of service to help you experience the success of the first SIC of the third SIC parallel session. Please allow me to inform you of a number of rules and regulations to have our sessions in order. First, we will have 3 sessions each day. The session will start with a small introduction about our speakers before the prepared YouTube videos are ready to be viewed by all of us. The video will take around 12 to 15 minutes each. During the playing of the videos, participants are invited to post any questions or comments in the Zoom chat room by mentioning to which researcher the question is addressed. As an alternative, if it is better to ask the question directly, then we suggest you use the raise hand facility in the Zoom room. When time is available, we will choose who should direct the questions. All presenters and audience are encouraged to be on camera and use the virtual background supplied in the chat facility during the Q&A sessions. The Q&A will roughly last for around 15 minutes. When asking a question, we ask that you would first mention your name and from which institution you are. Make sure that you ask one short, clear, and concise question. If you think that the question is too long or not clear enough, we may need to cut short your questions, so someone else may use the time to ask some other question. In case there are no questions from the audience, however, we will invite our room reactor to react to the presentation by giving suggestions or questions to the researcher. We hope everyone will have a successful presentation and the Q&A will benefit everyone.